Hi folks, welcome to your Gersnet immediate post-match reaction pod, coming to you in association with Forest Precision Engineering and Football Prizes. My name's Alec Anderson. I am an old woman named after my mother, and my old man is another child that's grown old. If dreams were lightning, thunder was desire, this old house would have burned down a long time ago. I'm talking to you shortly after watching In the Room Next Door, live on Sky Sports. Rangers drawn 0-0 with Dundee at Dens Park in that much anticipated, much delayed, much jerked about SPFL Premiership fixture, that kind of floating game in hand we've had hanging over us for a month. It was always going to be resolved totally unsatisfactorily for us, wasn't it? And so it proved. Rangers drawn 0-0 at Dens Park. 147 games in the top flight since we had a 0-0 apparently, according to Sky. Anyway, 147, the maximum break. It turns out it's left us needing snookers, and no just the white going in after the red. We need a snooker on the colours, which is fine because Celtic have cleared the reds and are about to mop up the colours. Also, Sky were telling us it's 4.5 years since Rangers went 3 games without a win. So, just as Paul McGann says on the DVD extras for the With Neil and I video and the commentary, it's all about the timing. Great timing, Rangers. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I'm laughing, but it's just to fight back the tears. 0-0, a totally awful performance, a toxic reaction already in the stand at Dens Park tonight, the away stand, and also on Rangers social media. It's one of the ones, folks, where normally I'm, there's going to be a lot of opposition fans watching, so I try and tailor sometimes the beginning of the pod towards that. Tonight I'm only worried about Rangers fans, quite frankly. Anybody sticking up for any of the players or trying to even explain just why it's gone the way it's gone, and that maybe it isn't the manager's fault or it isn't such and such a player's fault, you're going to end up getting lynched. It's just, we want heads on a plate. That seems to be the general reaction, and it's very understandable because we seem to have thrown away the title. My position remains pretty much that, well, at least we got a manager who got us back into a title race. We'd already thrown it away this season, but people take in. I'm accusing people of lacking context in the way they're criticising the team just now, but it is the context that makes them so critical. We've just put ourselves with 5 games to go in the league season. We have failed to win 9 of our games in the league this season. Celtic have failed to win 9 of their games in the league this season. They've got the best goal scoring record in the league this season. We've got the best defensive record in the league this season. If Celtic win the Scottish Cup, they will have lost 1 domestic cup game this season, and we will have lost 1 domestic cup game this season. Celtic played in the Champions League, they finished bottom of their group. We played in the Europa League and we got to the last 16. This is the kind of situation that represents the normality that we really want to get back to after 2012, let's be honest. This is a situation at this point in the season. It's mid-April. We're the only team in the country that can win the treble. We're 3 points off the top of the league. Totally doable. That's fine. That's under Walter Smith, totally doable. What doesn't help in the current situation is that we've got into this current situation through a loss of form, which is seen as beating only Hibs. Hibs are the only team we beat in the entire month of March, and we've yet to win a game in April. But I would say, yeah, under Sir Walter or whatever, before 2000, this would be absolutely fine. It's also, the problem is we would have had probably a league title in the bag in at least one of the previous 2 seasons. We don't have that situation just now. We've got 1 league title in the previous 12 seasons. So it exacerbates the pain that we feel tonight and also the reaction. There's no great desire to look at this and say, this is how tight league title races go. Lots of fluctuation. Because apart from anything else, as I'm saying, there's not a lot of fluctuation going on just now. We just seem to be spiralling down the plug hole. But to analyse the game itself, to try and do some sort of match report to qualify my post-match reaction, which is what this is. And to be honest, my post-match reaction, a lot of it is thanks for nothing, folks. I left things in pretty good order. I stopped work on the Friday. I went to the game against Hibs at Ibrox on the Saturday, and I left that with us a point off the top of the table and with a game in hand, and with Celtic coming to Ibrox the following week. I just said to you, I'm the biggest jinx in the world. I'm away, I'm not going to be there. I wasn't even in the country, I wasn't even in the continent, I was in America. I was in the USA. And I thought, I'm not going to get back, that's fine, they're not letting me back in. I'd already been told by my good friends that sit around me in my season ticket seat, don't come back, we beat Celtic next week, don't come back, you're obviously the problem. And I was beginning to think that I wasn't the problem. I've never seen us beating Celtic by more than 4 goals, for example. And I've been watching Rangers for nearly 50 years. And I thought, this will be the week we do it when I'm no there. So we got that, beat Dundee at Dens Park, got up to Dingwall, get the 3 points there, and we'll be absolutely flying. And I'll be quite happy not to renew my season ticket, having been proven that I'm the problem. But I get back and look at the state you've left the place in. You couldn't even get the game against Dundee played. We'll get 1 point. Celtic are running away with the league now. So thanks for nothing, folks. This is my 80th podcast this season. The 80th Gersnet podcast I've done this season. I just wanted a fortnight off, and I can't. I had to send your dad to the pub to calm him down, because he's going to do something he regrets. He's absolutely raging with us for the state you've left this house in. While we went away on our holidays, sorry, I'm just trying to... Jesus. He didn't even get the game against Dundee played, so it's getting played tonight. Here's me with the old jet lag, trying to drag a reaction out of myself when, like the rest of you, I'm just flat as a pancake. That was one of the most brutal games of football I have watched in my entire life. I've seen worse games of football. I've seen Rangers playing worse games of football. But as I was saying on social media earlier, it's the circumstances. You throw the circumstances and how much we needed a result and a performance tonight. And the fact that it was all, the goal was always there. It's 0-0, so a goal is going to make it a total disaster if it's a Dundee goal, or it's going to change your life if it's a Rangers goal, and it just never quite comes. And the attacks are so impotent. You're a big fat couch potato, Alec. You're a big fat couch potato. Yes, I am. You're morbidly obese. Yes, I am. You must spend so much time sitting in the sofa just watching stuff on the television while stuffing your face. Yes, I did. I did that tonight. But it would have been less painful if I'd gone out, even in my state of physicality, and ran a marathon. If I'd run a marathon tonight, it'd have been less painful than sitting watching that game. It was physically tortuous going through that tonight. It was unbearable. A slow death, it really was. Death by 1,000 impotent attacks. We just couldn't get going at all. We couldn't get going. Like, what happened with the starting lineup after the debacle at Dingwall and Sunday, people were looking for they're looking for Tav and Goldson and John Lundstrom to be taken out the team, because at Lundstrom, we only get 2-3 months out of him. There's players there we can't get 2-3 games in the trot out of them. So I'll take the guys that can last for 2 or 3 months, if you don't mind. But the big names, the leadership group, as they're only called when we start suffering defeats. The leadership group were fine. The changes, Dujon Sterling, who I think, going by taking a straw poll on social media, he was going to have to play at left back tonight, it'll be a riot. He was going to have to play at right wing tonight, it's going to be a riot. He's going to have to get put in that sitting 2 in midfield. There's no other place you can play him. He's got to go in there, or there's going to be a riot. So the option was he went in at left back, which is absolutely fine by me, because Borna Barisic he's gone. He's away to Turkey. I don't know if it's the hair or the teeth he wants to get done first, but he is mentally checked out. Absolute nightmare on Sunday. So hopefully we'll see Borna again. So Dujon Sterling came in. That was absolutely fine by me. In the sitting 2 in midfield beside John Lundstrom's Kieran Dowell was away. He was dropped. He was back on the bench after his total non-performance on Sunday, and in came Tom Lawrence, who wasn't very quick when he came on Sunday at Dingwall. But I mean, that sitting 2, it gives him more of a platform. It doesn't need to quite have the speed or whatever. So that was fine by me as well. Maybe the biggest call of the night was Dessers being dropped and Kamar Roof being brought back in. The Kamar usually does just need 2 or 3 games to get back up to speed, and then he starts banging the goals in. So I thought That was a fine shout because the two kind of straightforward chances that Dessers missed on Sunday, technically speaking, he scores them, we win the game on Sunday. He only does special finishes, he can't do ordinary finishes, and the special finishes aren't required, serial, as much as the ordinary finishes are required. So I was quite happy with the starting 11. But we started exactly the same as we started against Ross County by conceding a chance, a really strong chance against another team in dark blue at home, another team with their own wee agenda. Everybody's got their own agenda, but Ross County were fighting against relegation, and here we've got Dundee who are trying to augment a celebration. They've sealed their top 6 spot up at Pittodrie on Saturday, and here they were today. Certainly, Tony Docherty, the manager's telling us he's targeting Europe now. They've got an outside chance of making Europe if they can finish 5th. So I think they're also just dying to beat Rangers. Who isn't? But they were dying to beat Rangers, particularly because, of course, the way it operates in Scotland, because Dundee completely failed when it came to the basics of getting this game to go ahead. Absolutely disgraceful situation, the way that this game wasn't played. Somehow we need a doing for pointing that out. And I think Rangers' reaction has been pretty standard, considering the absolute shambles it's been getting this game played. But we had the cheek to moan or whatever, and that's what happens in Scotland. You complain, well, I'm going to bust your bubble, mate, we're going to sort you out. But Dundee are trying to win a football match. Sorry, that's bitter, and I'm feeling a bit bitter tonight. But so they were motivated, but the point amongst the Rangers support is we're going for the title, and we are Rangers. Nobody should look more motivated than us in a football match, in any football match ever. And this has been the problem. The start in the game against Celtic was horrendous. We were totally asleep. I've never seen anything like it against Ross County in Dingwall. We didn't turn up. I mean, there was something going on there, to the point where everybody's chucking about half-arsed theories tonight, so why don't I just join in? My kind of, barroom pests sidling up to you and going, by the way, have you noticed this? I would like to know, and it's probably out there, the information is probably readily available. It's maybe on one of these paid pods that I never watch. I don't charge folk to watch these pods, so I don't pay to watch any other pods. Maybe it's on Rangers TV or something. But when does Philip Clement announce the team to the team? When does he post the team sheet? Because I have a funny feeling there's something has devastated our players before the Old Firm game, before Dingwall. They looked, the way they started both those games, they looked like something had afflicted them. There'd been a sudden illness in the camp or something like that. They started the games as if they were shattered. No, I think they are. I think that's definitely a component. We're going to talk about that. They're physically shattered just now, but the way they started both those games, as if they'd just been given devastating news as they went out onto the pitch. And maybe that devastating news is, oh, by the way, Lonnie, Kieran Dowell's playing alongside you today. Oh, fucking what? Tav, Borna's back in at left back. Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's when the team gets announced and the senior players, the leadership group, who only become a leadership group when we've lost a game because they need to get elevated to the status that then makes them a head worth chopping off. We've got rid of directors, we've got rid of managers, the captain. Everybody's always gone in for the captain, but we don't just want him. So let's call it a leadership group, and they are a leadership group, senior players. But let's get their necks on the block, Taliban style, executed on a football pitch. Because when things like this happen, when it goes wrong for Rangers, it's all about scorched earth policy, and let's get rid of the folk who have any kind of profile. We just want to. Eventually, it's going to be us. Get rid of Tav, get rid of a few senior players. Then you've just got run-of-the-mill players that they're going to have to go as well. Then it's going to be us. Then we're going to have to start sacking supporters. I know a few folk would obviously want to sack me for maybe sticking up for Tav every now and then, but there comes a point you just got to say, right, let's just build. Let's try and throw in the positivity there. And that's what the manager did after the game tonight. That explains his comments. That's how he's got us to this point at all this season. We were even challenging for the title. Was this relentless positivity, positive spin all the time. Try to build something, no destroy anything. But we started the game tonight absolutely terrible. Dundee had a chance across the front of our goal, exactly the same as the chance Ross County had in the first minute of the game the other day. And I remember back in February, it must have been, when we were starting to get ourselves back up to the top of the league, excuse me, noticing in 2 or 3 games, maybe out of 3 or 4 games, in a little run, a little spell, Rangers would have a corner or a shot on the opposition goal within the first 40 seconds to a minute of a game. And I think I said on one of these reaction pods, we are just, the whole thing of starting slowly is out the window. That's great. That's always great when we start looking really sharp, and we've just completely changed again. Tav hitting the ball off Maeda for Celtic's opening goal in the Old Firm game, 20 odd seconds on the clock, and then the chance we conceded in the first 30 seconds against Ross County. Same against tonight against Dundee. I think we took centre in both games, both the last 2 games, and we end up conceding, almost conceding a goal within 40 seconds of kicking off. Dundee looked on top. They're playing in a D. The D were playing in a D shape. Tony Docherty's time at Aberdeen as assistant manager, Derek McInnes, who knew better than how to stymie a superior on paper Rangers team than that Aberdeen side managed by McInnes and Docherty. Well, tonight he was in the same. Dundee sitting this kind of D. They're all psyched up. They're relaxed because they've achieved top 6 status, and now they've got something to go for as well. So they're ready to bust forward. They're hitting us in the break. We had this thing tonight where we didn't seem able to attack in any numbers at all, string any passes together, any combinations outside the box, and like that. No overloads, no overlaps, underlaps, no wombling free at all. And we were really light in midfield as well, and yet we seemed totally susceptible to a counter-attack from Dundee all night. The team were posted missing, but tonight I feel as if it was PTSD about Ross County, about how we played on Sunday. Those 3 goals that went past us, the fact that Ross County were hitting us in the counter-attack really effectively 7-8 times in that game. When we went forward, it was more dangerous to us than it was to Ross County up at Dingwall on Sunday. I felt as if every ball we played forward tonight was just laced with a fragility, a memory of the counter-attacks at Dingwall on Sunday. Dundee tonight, they lost, was it 10 minutes in? Shaughnessy, he's our captain, is he? He was kind of turned inside out by a little feint of the hips from Kamar Roof, which is really Kamar's only contribution tonight. He twisted his knee, Shaughnessy. So there's a little pause in play, kind of affected their early rhythm, Dundee. But it's still, all we were managing was long balls forward from Goldson or from Suter or from Lundstrom that were just hitting big patches of damp, empty grass. There was nobody there, or at best we'll be getting Sima, who's also been stymied because he's coming back from long-term injury and he's having to play in the right side of the park to keep the shape, to keep the balance. We saw what Borna Barisic being on the park did to our balance, our shape on Sunday. So that's why the Sima's got to play out of position. But we're maybe forcing a corner or something like that, and then from corners, we're just terrible. It was just, you'd be better not having, we'd be better kicking more corners straight out for a shy. Put Dundee in the corner, trying to shine the ball in their own corner, try to get a throw in down there. We'd probably get more from that. We scored for a corner on Sunday. We scored the opening goal of the game. Ross County scored it for us, but that did come from a Tav corner, a Silva flick on. But just generally, the number of corners we get kind of represent how poor we are in attack these days. There was just no threat whatsoever from us. I think Conor Golson did connect properly, fully with a corner for one Swee's head in the opposition box. He heads it straight to the goalkeeper. Did the goalkeeper parry that one? There was one time where the goalkeeper kind of dropped the ball and you were hoping, Kamar Roof might be right on top of him, Gerdie Muller style, to sclaff it home to knock home the rebound. Didn't happen. Dundee had a free kick from the edge of our box, 20 minutes or something into the game. Brilliant save from Jack Butland, really well placed curling free kick. Great save from Jack Butland, a great double save from him as he saves the rebound, which I think was already offside, and then Bakayoko puts in the rebound from that, definitely offside. So that got ruled out, and after that point we definitely started dominating possession. We definitely had better numbers, but just doing nothing with it. I was hoping this was just all about us recovering from the trauma, whatever caused it up at Dingwall. We just didn't turn up at all. I don't know what happened. That's why I need to come up with some sort of theory, and all I can manage is is the manager telling the players, the team, and they're just like, why are you rotating this so often? I've got to play with this guy. I know why he's rotating it so often. You know, people are saying the manager's just throwing something at a wall and seeing what sticks. He's not throwing anything at a wall. There's no physical contact whatsoever with that squad. He's probably, putting cushions under them up at Auchenhowie all through the week. You know what I mean, radiator there, you called, son, I'll get a wee blanket for you. He's trying to keep them all fit because these players are just unfit. The injury situation, as he's alluded to, Michael Beale's failure to give him a proper pre-season, and whatever Michael Beale's medical staff have done, also hinted at strongly by Philippe Clement. They've caused havoc, and he's basically got. We have this thing where people are hating Tav and Goldson and Lundstrom because they play most often, but there needs to be somebody who plays most often. There needs to be some sort of spine. Oh, they're spineless. They really aren't. Tav's 32, Goldson's 31, John Lundstrom's 30, and that's absolutely fine in modern football. That's no age in modern football, as long as you're being rotated, as long as you're getting rest. They're getting no rest whatsoever. They've had no rest all season, so they're now getting knackered, particularly when they know that if they don't perform, if there's no result, they're going to get it in the neck. Something vicious. It's been vicious the last few days. The reaction towards Tav. He's been called, I saw cancer tonight. Fraud, wage thief. That's the stuff that's been it's unbelievable. So we're trying to save the Rangers team who can't score enough goals by taking out the guy who scored, in more than half the league games he's played this year. It's not the solution. It's just that need for somebody high profile to pay the price. People need to see change, almost for change's sake. That's why the players are getting it. But the players that are coming in are unable to last for more than 2 or 3 games, which means the players that are there all the time are getting absolutely exhausted, constantly having to carry the burden. But it looked like Rangers tonight were just, if that was whatever it was that caused the problem on Sunday where the whole team completely failed, it looked like the Rangers team were trying to process the trauma of how bad they were on Sunday in the first half tonight. We got more possession. I was hoping that we went down the tunnel at half time. The manager was going to say, right, it's okay, relax a bit, loosen up a bit. Don't be so scared anymore. You've kept a clean sheet for the first half, same as we did on Sunday. And I think we did have slightly more possession in the second half. We certainly had a wee spell, 50 to 55 minutes, where we got a few 1-2s going, but too deep in the midfield area, well outside the Dundee box. And just, again, I think Dessers eventually comes on. We made a treble substitution. Was that around about the 58th minute or something? Silva wasn't doing anything. Cantwell wasn't doing anything. So we brought on Matondo to not do anything. We brought on Kieran Dowell to not do anything at 10. And we brought on Dessers to have one kind of shot that their goalkeeper, did he push it over the bar? Even, it's just, it was a shot on goal. It amounted to nothing other than, I think it was only shot directly on goal in the second half. It just frittered out. And it was awful to watch. Really, really painful. This reminded me of 2 games, depending on how this situation depending on what eventually happens at the end of the season. But remember when Barry Ferguson missed 2 penalties at Dens Park 2002-2003? We'd lost to Celtic at Ibrox the previous weekend. Towards the end of the season, we seemed to be, under Alec McLeish, thrown away the league title. We lost to Celtic at Ibrox, and then we went up to Dundee, and we missed 2 penalties. Arteta, who had a bad night tonight, I think, he eventually scores the 3rd penalty that we got in that game, because the Masons are always trying to help out Rangers. And we drew 2 each, and it was like, well, we got a point, but that's no use just now. We've chucked it. We eventually win the league on goal difference. But Dunfermline lying down to us in that last game of the season, that wouldn't have counted for anything if we hadn't picked up that point in Dundee. So we've no missed 2 penalties, but with 2 times this game was supposed to take place, and it didn't happen. You never know. Maybe that's the point is going to end up counting for more than we realise. We are only 3 points off the top. It's just the form, as I say, the form that we're on just now. Celtic are going to end up beating us at Parkhead to win the league. They actually clinch the title that day if we don't sort out the spiral that we're in just now. I mean, the other game that kind of reminds me of, if we do go on to lose the league this season or not to win the league this season, that when Dick Advocat get put out the UEFA Cup by Borussia Dortmund. Remember, we'd got to within a goal of the Champions League final famously in 92-93, the first season of the Champions League under Walter, but then the following few seasons You know, we lost 4-1 and 4-0 to Juventus, and Ajax beat us, put 4 past us as well in the Amsterdam Arena. It was bad results we're getting, over time. It wasn't good enough. We had to do better in the Champions League, so we get the big European name manager and eventually, and it's Dick Advocat, and he's really unlucky to go out the Champions League group stages with Bayern Munich. They beat us 1-0. We hit the woodwork about 3 times, and Michael Moles gets done in by Oliver Kahn, all that kind of stuff. But we drop in 3rd place into the UEFA Cup, and it's Borussia Dortmund we beat them 2-0 at Ibrox in the first leg, and that's that 23-24 pass goal that we scored, which looked absolutely sensational. And then we go over to Dortmund, and they score the second goal like deep into injury time, and to take it to extra time, and then they beat us in penalties, and it was just too much pain in Germany. Absolutely brutal. But I think it was the following season we beat PSG, Paris Saint-Germain. We beat them on penalties in the Parc des Princes and get past Christmas in Europe for the first time in almost a decade since that 92-93 run under Walter. And it was like, yeah, that's it. Growing pains. They're called growing pains for a reason. It's painful. And my feeling is very much, as I said, everybody tonight is doing that I told you thing. I told you these players were going to let us down again. I told you we'd only get 2 or 3 months out of Lundstrom, and they start chucking it again. I told you this group of players are a bunch of losers. So I told you at the beginning of the season that pre-season form against Olympiacos and Hamburg wasn't good enough. It was clear that it wasn't a good enough pre-season. But I also said in February, when this talk of bottle, this team don't have the bottle all through them. Just check our results and the situation as we went into every league game we played in the month of February. It was all about getting back. Are we going to catch Celtic on points? Aye, getting closer to them. But they've dropped points. Can we get it down to 2 points? We've got it down to 2 points. They've dropped points. Can we catch Celtic on point? Yeah. Can we catch them on goal difference? Yes, we can. Can we catch them on goals scored? Yeah, we go to Perth. We've got to beat St Johnstone to go top of the league. Can you handle that pressure? We win 3-0. The following week, you're playing Hearts, though. Can you handle being top of the league at Hearts, the best team outside the Old Firm this season? They're coming to Ibrox. They're due a result there. Beat them 5-0, 3-0 up at half time. Absolutely blow them away. Loving it. Really enjoying it. It's just, for me, it's just tiredness has got to them. But I did say when we got back top of the league in February, there is no way now that Philip Clement will get credit for having taken the team that was getting gubbed 3-1 at home by Aberdeen. Michael Beale's getting sacked and we're miles off it. You would have bitten your hand off to be in this situation. The situation that we're in just now, where in mid-April we're the only team in Scotland that can win the treble. We're 3 points off the top of the league. There's no way you'll get the credit for that if we don't win the league. It'll just be getting totally slaughtered. And it's because of the context. It's because we haven't won any league titles last season or the season before. We've only won 1 in the last 13 years. So that exacerbates everything, makes everything so much worse. But could it get any worse? I don't know. I just feel as if this could be the final growing pain. We don't know how Celtic they get the Champions League money. How are they going to spend that? Are they going to be allowed to spend that Champions League money on players? Who knows how that's going to go, if they even get that. But I wouldn't give up just yet, and that's what makes it so painful. Everybody's dying to call it because they're trying to protect their own emotions. It was bad enough on Sunday. When we still had this game coming up tonight against Dundee. That's it over. That's it. Everybody, that's it. Done and dusted. This team are beat. You know what I mean? The problem is, the thing that makes it so painful is you think you know, but you don't. You never know how it's going to go. And I can already see the comments saying you're delusional if you think this team are going to let it. Well, Wim Janssen's Celtic in 1998 in exactly the same situation. They kept slipping up left, right, and centre. They only beat us once. They only won 1 Old Firm game that season. Same as Alan McLeish's Rangers in 2002-2003. We only won 1 Old Firm game that season. We drew 3 each at Parkhead, and we beat them by the odd goal at Ibrox. Well, we've drawn 3 each at Ibrox this season, and we beat them by the odd goal at Parkhead. We only need to win 1 Old Firm game to get us back in. You're then looking at needing Celtic really to slip up again, probably. But you don't know. The worst thing about it is the refusal I have in my head to give up. It makes it more torturous. But this has been a brutal, awful night. And I can only solve that by shutting up now. It's me and Brian on Friday night, folks, to preview the Hearts semi-final, but also to look back, I would say, a little more analytically than I've managed here on tonight's game, and maybe even Philip Clement's post-match comments, which are all about maintaining the positivity that has, we lost Adala Seaman to injury, we lost him to AFCON, he's Kamara Roos, maybe the most innately skillful player we have, but he's injured even more often than Seema, who wasn't injured very often and clearly became the most skillful player. He was the best player at Ibrox, I think, for the first half of the season, right up to January. He goes to AFCON. How are we going to cope without him? We get Cortez in. How are we going to cope without him? We get Yilmaz. We lost Borna Barisic, and Yilmaz comes. I thought that was a bad move before Christmas. Yilmaz just really starts up in his performances. We lose him as well, but the manager has this thing where he keeps saying, I refuse to talk about the injured players, I just want to talk about the fit players, and it worked. It really worked. I was heartbroken at the thought of losing Seaman to AFCON, and then doesn't even play a game at AFCON, and he gets injured. We're not going to see him again this season, I was thinking. And the manager just managed to, through the whole month of February, getting us closer and closer and getting us top of the league. We're winning games against Hearts while we're top of the league. We go to Rugby Park and we beat them, fantastic style eventually. We lose Cortez, and it's just caught up with us. The number of players that were getting injured, it's just catching up with us. We're not able to rotate the squad the same way. I think that's all that's happened, so I don't blame the manager for maintaining the positivity tonight. It's angered a lot of Rangers supporters, but it's politics. He's trying to spin it. He's trying to keep a squad who half these players have maybe just been told that they're not going to be wanted next season. He can't go in there and do Paul Le Guen 2006 telling Barry Ferguson, that's it, you're no captain anymore, and there's basically a revolt, and next thing Le Guen has gone. He can't do that. He's got to play the game, and it would be absolutely negligent if Philip Clement came out after the game tonight and said, that's it, it's done, the title race is over and these players are all crap. Who else has he got to play? He's got to work with these guys. This is the guys he's got to get the best out of. So yeah, it's bad just now, but myself and Brian will have a look maybe a bit more clearly, a bit less emotion involved on Friday night. We'll look at Clement's post-match comments tonight maybe, and his pre-match comments ahead of the semi-final against Hearts. That'll be 9 o'clock live on the YouTube channel on Friday night. So until then, make me an angel flying from Montgomery, make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to, because to believe in this living, it's just a hard way to go.